Identifying phrasal verbs can be quite tricky, but here I'll show you 5 common characteristics and patterns that can help you recognize them and use them properly. Phrasal verbs are a combination of verbs and one or more particles, which are normally prepositions or adverbs. Here are some tips to identify phrasal verbs. Hello everyone, my name is Andrea and welcome back to my channel. This is Social Coconuts, where I mainly teach English and other languages too, and sometimes I also talk about language-related topics. As you already know, we will be talking about phrasal verbs in this video. So many phrasal verbs consist of a main verb followed by a preposition. For example, look up, give in, come across, and so on. But other phrasal verbs consist of a main verb and an adverb, like in these examples: break down, pick up, and so on. Before we go any further, let me remind you what a preposition is and also an adverb. Prepositions often indicate location, direction, time, or relationships. Common prepositions include at, by, with, and between. She is sitting on the chair. An adverb is a word that modifies or describes a verb, an adjective, or other adverbs. Adverbs often provide information. Adverbs can answer questions like how, when, where, and to what extent. Have a look at what I mean with this example. She speaks softly. Here, softly is modifying the verb speaks. And if you ask the question, how does she speak? Softly. Therefore, the adverb is softly. Now, obviously, there are way more particles used in phrasal verbs such as up, down, off, in, out, etc. They often contribute to the meaning of the phrasal verb, just like in this example. Pick up your clothes from the ground. Pick out a new sweater. There are 3 available. Go up the stairs. Second door to the left. The bathroom is right there. Go down to the basement. There you'll find the painting supplies. If you were to translate these into Spanish, then you would have pick up your clothes is recoge tu ropa. Pick out a new sweater es coge un jersey o un suéter nuevo. Go up the stairs es que subas por las escaleras, y go down to the basement es que bajes al sótano. Now let's have a look at the separable and the inseparable phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs can be separable or inseparable. When we talk about separable phrasal verbs, the object can come between the verb and the particle, while in inseparable verbs, the object must come after the particle. For example, the separable phrasal verb is I will pick you up. As you can see, pick, then you have you, and then you have the particle up. And now inseparable means I will look after the kids. You cannot separate look after. You cannot say I will look the kids after. That would be incorrect. So you must keep look after together. You can have a look now at other examples of inseparable and separable phrasal verbs. You can say turn on the lights, or you can also say turn the lights on. Check out this other example, take off. You can say take off your shoes, or you can also say take your shoes off. To determine whether a specific phrasal verb is separable or inseparable, you may need to check a reliable dictionary or another language resource, because it does depend on the phrasal verb that you use. The more you practice them, the more you'll become more comfortable using them and identifying which phrasal verbs you can separate and which ones you cannot. There isn't really a fixed rule to learn the types of phrasal verbs that you can separate or not. So make sure you have a phrasal verb notebook somewhere or a place where you keep them, and write down the ones you are most likely to use. Which brings me to the next point. You have to pay attention to the context in which the words are used. Phrasal verbs often have meanings that are different from the individual words taken separately. For example, take off can mean to remove something. For example, take off your jacket. But the phrasal verb take off together can also mean to become successful suddenly. Like in this example, her career took off. Or also when you talk about a plane leaving the ground, the airplane is taking off. You cannot separate these two when the meaning is become successful suddenly or when the plane is taking off the ground. But take and off separately, then they have different meanings. Here's another example with the phrasal verb break up. The individual word break means to separate or to divide, and up can indicate completion or that something is finished or done. Now, the phrasal verb meaning of break up together can mean to end a relationship or to disperse a group. For example, they decided to break up after years of being together. These examples show how when you put a phrasal verb and another word like a preposition or an adverb together in a phrasal verb, it makes a new meaning, and the words by themselves have a completely different meaning. That's why phrasal verbs are so tricky. So I'm sure after all this explanation you would like to practice a little bit, which is why I made an exercise for you. Practice and then check yourself. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more English lessons like this. Now let's move on to the exercises. Remember to pause the video while you're doing your exercises. Don't forget to check your results after. Hope this video was useful for you, and I will see you in the next one.